The year 1861 witnessed a pivotal moment in the burgeoning field of microbiology, a moment meticulously captured in Louis Pasteur's groundbreaking work on the corpuscles which exist in atmospheric dust. This paper, published at a time of fervent scientific debate concerning the nature of life itself, served as a definitive blow against the prevailing doctrine of spontaneous generation, a concept deeply entrenched in both scientific and popular thought. Pasteur's meticulous investigations offered compelling evidence supporting the germ theory of disease, laying the groundwork for modern understandings of infection and sterilization. Prior to Pasteur's observations, the prevailing scientific paradigm, championed by figures like Felix Pauchet, affirmed a belief in spontaneous generation. This theory held that life could arise from non-living matter. Proponents of this view often cited observations of microorganisms appearing seemingly out of nowhere in decaying organic material as evidence. The implication was profound that life possessed an intrinsic ability to self-assemble, obviating the need for a direct cause in the creation of life. The challenge, therefore, faced by Pasteur was to demonstrate that these observed microorganisms were in fact originating from pre-existing microorganisms, not from the material itself. He needed to prove that the corpuscles he suspected were the seeds of life, travelling unseen through the air, were the agents of putrefaction and decay. Pasteur's work was thus positioned within a broader intellectual landscape defined by this fundamental question: where does life come from? Pasteur's scientific methodology, as demonstrated in this work, was a model of rigour and ingenuity. He designed a series of elegant experiments, employing specifically crafty flasks with swan necks. These flasks, open to the air yet designed to trap airborne particles, were instrumental to his findings. He hypothesized that if dust, containing these corpuscles, was the carrier of life, then excluding dust would prevent the appearance of microorganisms. In a brilliant stroke of experimental design, Pasteur boiled nutrient broth in the flasks to sterilize them. The curved necks of the flasks allowed air to pass, but any dust particles carried by the air were trapped in the curves, preventing them from reaching the broth. The broth, absent the dust, remained sterile for prolonged periods. This critical observation directly countered the spontaneous generation theory. Pasteur then demonstrated that if the flask was tilted, allowing the dust to reach the broth, microbial growth would begin. The core of Pasteur's work lies in its meticulous observation and interpretation. He didn't simply state an idea, he demonstrated it with repeated, carefully controlled experiments. The corpuscles he observed, identified as the fundamental agents of putrefaction, represented minute, invisible life forms capable of initiating decay. His findings were not based on assumptions, but on concrete evidence. Pasteur's detailed descriptions of his experimental apparatus, his care in sterilizing the broth, and his meticulous observations of microbial growth and absence of growth under controlled conditions provided robust evidence supporting his assertions. This experimental precision proved central to the work's lasting impact. The immediate impact upon the corpuscles which exist in atmospheric dust was far-reaching. It offered a powerful argument against the prevailing belief in spontaneous generation, influencing the scientific community to re-evaluate its stance on the origins of life. It also provided a crucial foundation for the emerging germ theory of disease. If microorganisms were present in the air and responsible for decay, it was a short leap to suggest they might also be responsible for infections and disease. The work provided an impetus for other scientists to explore these areas. Furthermore, Pasteur's methodology showed a pathway of airborne particles carried, the seeds of life, then preventing these particles from accessing a medium would prevent the genesis of life. This principle offered the foundation for understanding sterilization techniques. The implications upon the corpuscles which exist in atmospheric dust resonated across various fields. In medicine, the recognition that microorganisms caused disease led to a paradigm shift in surgical practices, prompting the development of antiseptic techniques by figures such as Joseph Lister. Lister adopted Pasteur's findings, applying antiseptic practices to surgery. This directly reduced surgical mortality rates. In the food industry, Pasteur's findings informed the development of pasteurization. This process, designed to eliminate microorganisms from milk and other consumables, became crucial in preserving food and preventing foodborne illnesses. These practical applications demonstrated the direct societal benefits stemming from Pasteur's scientific inquiry, validating his observations. The reception of Pasteur's work, while ultimately triumphant, was initially met with some resistance. Proponents of spontaneous generation, deeply entrenched in their beliefs, initially challenged Pasteur's findings. The arguments, however, were gradually undermined by the robustness of Pasteur's experimental evidence, the strength of the evidence, the simplicity of the experimental design, and the repeated demonstrations of his results all contributed to the scientific community's ultimate acceptance of Pasteur's conclusions. The shift away from spontaneous generation was a slow process. Pasteur's work was instrumental in accelerating this. Numerous factors influenced the development of the corpuscles which exist in atmospheric dust. Earlier investigations by scientists like John Tyndall also explored the role of dust in carrying microorganisms. Tyndall's experiments, centered on the removal of airborne particles to create sterile environments, provided observational support for the notion of airborne contaminants. Pasteur built on this. His work, however, was marked by his systematic approach. The experiments provided the decisive, conclusive evidence that the airborne dust was the source of life. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, published a short time prior to Pasteur's work, while distinct in its purview, contributed to a general reassessment of the fundamental nature of life and its origins. The emphasis upon biological processes and reproduction, inherent to Darwin's work, provided an alternative framework to the spontaneous generation theory, subtly facilitating the acceptance of Pasteur's findings. The subsequent impact and evolution of Pasteur's work is immeasurable. His insights provided a foundation for the development of modern microbiology, immunology, and public health. His experiments and conclusions directly led to the development of vaccines, which have eradicated or drastically reduced the incidence of numerous infectious diseases. His work also influenced the development of techniques for culturing and studying microorganisms, which remain a cornerstone of research in biology and related fields. The principles he established are utilized in modern laboratory settings. His work fostered the birth of the entire field of industrial microbiology. His sterilization techniques have influenced every aspect of modern life, from pharmaceutical production to surgical procedures. The legacy of the corpuscles which exist in atmospheric dust extends far beyond the specific findings concerning atmospheric dust. The work exemplifies the power of scientific inquiry to challenge existing paradigms and to transform our understanding of the natural world. It underscores the importance of rigorous experimentation, meticulous observation, and the open-minded evaluation of evidence. Pasteur's work provides a model for scientific investigation. His paper, along with his contributions, stands as a testament to the enduring impact of scientific discoveries on both the scientific community and the broader world. His work on atmospheric dust serves as a cornerstone of modern scientific understanding.